And that's the way you refresh a franchise like this is you introduce new things, different twists, and then you can really have fun with some of the same guys. Hey, how you doing, Neil?
I'm doing good. Hi, Les. My name is Neil. I'm with Dorkaholics, where we believe that there's a dork in everyone, and it's our responsibility to bring that dork out into the world.
Very good. I see you have an Orange County number too.
Yes.
I grew up there, so
I was gonna bring this up a little bit later, but from what I've read, you are a graduate of Laguna Beach High School.
correct. Yes, I lived there from the age of 15 on, and then went to college at USC there in Southern California. So I'm from the area, but I love Orange County.
Mm. I'm Orange County born and raised, and I actually teach in a joint program between Laguna Beach Unified and Capistrano. So I have a few Laguna Beach students after school.
Wow, that's great. That's great. It's a great area, and my family's still in Huntington Beach now. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
Since we're talking about Laguna Beach, do you have any words of encouragement for young students interested in the entertainment industry?
Yeah, I mean, look, you know what? For me, the entertainment industry is all about putting in the hours, and there is some luck to it, but you just need to set your goals for yourself. I started off as a writer in the business, and I was working at another job 9 to 5, and I basically decided every night, Sunday through Thursday night, I would write 8 till midnight until I would get a script, and then I would do that for a second script, and then I'd give myself Friday night and Saturday night off, because I was young and but that's what you have to do. You have to put in the time. It's very difficult to take any shortcuts. It's dedication. And even if you're from Orange County, or originally I was from Brazil, you can still, with hard work, get somewhere anyway, I believe.
Hmm. And I like myself, I'm also a Trojan. I went to USC for grad school studying business admin, similar to yourself. And I
Yes.
also took a graduate certificate in the business of entertainment, similar to your film electives.
Very good. Very good.
So first off, I want to say fight on, but also I want to ask, how did your studies at USC prepare you for the world of filmmaking?
Well, it's very interesting because when I wanted to go, well, when I was applying for USC, my thoughts were, I'm going to go into the film program, and it had a history of it. Of course, my parents and grandparents who were helping me out with school said, well, yeah, you're going to go to USC, but you're not going to be a film graduate. So that's why I became a business major. And to be honest with you, it was the best decision I ever made because it did help me when I graduated, at least to feed myself and pay the rent. And I just piled on a bunch of electives, a bunch of night school classes in the entertainment business, everything from acting to writing to directing, because that's really where my passion was. But later on, when I actually went from writing to producing, the business side of it really helped and kicked in. Just everything from budgeting to certain decisions to planning out a project. It was for me. It was a very practical and useful background to have.
Hmm. Speaking of your role as producer on all four of the Expendable films, what has been essential to the franchise, and in what ways did you expand it this time around with Expendables 4?
Well, what's really essential for the franchise is to keep it keep it fun and in a way to keep, as you mentioned, refreshing. And the first one was such a unique get together of all these guys that, everybody wanted to see, but maybe not individually. But when you brought them all together, it suddenly, the sum, and became so much bigger than even the individual parts. But moving on beyond that, we have to refresh it. It can't be that just the same guys again. And the reason it needs to be refreshed is that whenever you bring a new character in that interacts with one or all of the characters, you discover new things about that character. In the latest example, we have, Megan Fox coming in and going toe to toe with Jason's character, which is really nice because Jason's a very strong presence on screen, and he's a very, very, very good fighter. And the last thing you would expect is, is someone like Megan Fox coming in and being his equal. And that's the way you refresh a franchise like this is you introduce new things, different twists, and then you can really have fun with some of the same guys.
Hmm. I mean, speaking of Jason Statham, from what I've heard, I heard that he's taking more of a lead role while Stallone is taking a step back in a way.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was sort of half planned, but half as the script and story evolved. I mean, we on this one, we wanted to be very story based without bringing in a bunch of actors and then trying to write new characters. We wanted it to be a hard R this time. We wanted to sort of go back to the roots, if you will. We were a little disappointed with the reception from the PG-13. And so we wanted the fans to know, hey, you know what, that was an experiment gone very sideways. But we understand what they want, we can't be dictating that. And I think now this is our chance to get back on that horse and just go full steam ahead for the fans.
No, speaking as a fan myself, I love the action of the Expendables. I think that's why I was very excited to come back. Expendables 3 was not a disappointment in my eyes. I was like, man, I love these characters. I like where this is going. Like, we gotta see more. When it comes to the in-camera and physical action, how does one ensure that it feels visceral as it does?
Well, what we like to do with these expendable movies is we want to make it as real as possible. This isn't Marvel, this isn't some fantasy movie. This is a movie where, as an audience member, you want to really feel the heat of those explosions and the sound and the thunder and the gunshots. And you really want to go on this trip, which is a very real trip. It's not, a sci-fi fantasy where you kind of go, oh, that was cool, but you're really not in that world. And I think that's what anchors a lot of the fans to action franchises is you're with the character, you're feeling that heartbeat, that thumping, that adrenaline rush that the characters are. And that's very important in our franchises. And we really, really focused on that on this last iteration.
And a question I like to end interviews on for Dorkaholics is growing up, whether in Laguna Beach or back in Brazil, what were you a dork about? Whether it was a character, book, film, you name it. What made you a dork essentially?
Look, I really, really became a film dork when I was 15, 16, somewhere in there. I don't know. Uh, after the Rocky and Star Wars movies came out, I just watched them over and over and over and over again. And I said, man, this is what I want to do. This is just the type of movie that or movies that I want to dive into. And even though those weren't the pure action, it's more like I had seen pure action, but those had such good characters and such a relatable story that I thought, you know what, action for action is just that. But when you put in good characters, now you've really got an action hit.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine what it's like to have grown up loving the Rocky films and then your
Yeah,
work with Stallone.
it was. It was a pleasure, and he's always a pleasure to work with. He's, probably the only actor who's created and directed and written three franchises. So I have to give my a nod to him. He's really super that way.
Thank you so much for your time today, Les. It has been a pleasure speaking with you. I can't wait to tell the world about the Expendables and especially tell my students I got to talk to what it
Oh,
looks like
thank
to do
you.
this
It's
stuff.
been a pleasure for me. Thank you. And give your students encouragement. They
I
can do
will.